Z Business Plus makes managing fuel easy. It's fee-free with choice benefits like 8 cents off every litre, every day, everywhere you need us. Sign up today for the 2022 CanStar Blue Best Small Business Fuel Card. Z is for New Zealand. T's and C's apply.
News Talk ZB and Weekend Sport. Want to talk some triathlon with you. A huge night ahead for Hayden Wilde and New Zealand triathlon fans. Last week, World Triathlon advised Triathlon New Zealand that the appeal it lodged on behalf of Hayden Wilde following the 2022 Birmingham Commonwealth Games had been dismissed. Let's just jog your memory about what happened in that race back in late July.
So Hayden Wilde makes a turn for home. He is in the lead. Is he aware of the penalty? Who knows? But for now, Hayden Wilde of New Zealand is going to come through and lead Alex Yee just by the smallest of margins. But unfortunately for Hayden Wilde, as far as I'm aware, he will have to serve this 10-second penalty. And look at that for sportsmanship. I think we'll look back on that moment with fondness. Hayden Wilde has high-fived Alex Yee. He's well aware of the penalty. He's clapped the hometown hero home. And Alex Yee is going to win the men's triathlon. He grabs a flag of England. I don't think he was aware of the penalty, but Alex Yee, he can't believe it. He is the men's triathlon champion. Hayden Wilde is now coming through to finish second, just 14 seconds behind, having served that excruciating 10-second penalty. And our first medal for New Zealand. It's not to be gold this time for Hayden Wilde. It's silver. But what a men's triathlon we've had.
Expertly called by Nick Bewley during our coverage of those Commonwealth Games, Hayden Wilde issued with that 10-second penalty for allegedly unclipping his helmet before he'd racked his bike in the bike-to-run transition, costing him the chance to sprint for gold with British rival Alex Yee after having led the race up until that point. Now, TriNZ say they're disappointed with the result. They consider there was no evidence of Hayden Wilde doing what was alleged, but Hayden Wilde has decided instead to redirect his energy into winning the sport's premier title, the World Triathlon Championship Series, at the season finale set to be decided in Abu Dhabi early tomorrow morning New Zealand time. After victories in Leeds and Hamburg and a pair of seconds in Yokohama and Montreal, Wilde will enter the decider in the number one bib, and ironically enough, he'll find himself racing Yee for the world title after Yee had wins in Yokohama, Montreal and Cagliari, the latter a race that Wilde bypassed. He opted instead to spend an entire month prepping in Abu Dhabi. If he does win tomorrow, it'll be New Zealand's first world title since Bevan Doherty in 2004 in what was then a one-off ITU World Championship race. Big night ahead. Hayden Wilde is with us. Hayden, thanks for taking the time. Let's start with the unsuccessful appeal against your time penalty in Birmingham. How optimistic were you that your appeal would be successful?
Yeah, I think I was pretty optimistic for sure. You know, we sat down with the lawyers in Triathlon New Zealand, and they were putting massive shifts in to make it happen, and they were on my side the whole way for sure. And we were definitely feeling good for it. But unfortunately, it was just didn't go to our favour. Which it's frustrating, but it is what it is, and we move forward. And it's just one of those things where it's just extremely hard to overturn the field of play decisions. So it was very disappointing, and I was quite frustrated for a good few months. But I used that frustration to race hard and got some good results over the last couple of months, and now using that to lead into the World Champs and try bringing home a world title instead of a gold medal from the Com Games for Team New Zealand. Yeah,
I want to talk about that in a second. It's an exciting time coming up. But just for those who had perhaps forgotten or weren't aware of this, the penalty was for allegedly unclipping your bike helmet before you racked your bike in the bike-to-run transition area. You're absolutely adamant that you didn't do that.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I think in the Super League racing, which is extremely fast and high-paced triathlon, and every second counts. I did that move nearly in every single race and didn't get pulled up once on it. So that just goes to show that it was a bit 50-50 on the call. But hopefully that officials around the world can kind of hopefully learn from it and not be too intense with field of play decisions. As unfortunately it ruined an extremely exciting race, not just for Alex and I, but for the fans of triathlon, the fans of sport. It really was a bit of a downer at the end of the race for sure.
Indeed. Well, your focus now turns, as you say, to the climax of your sport's premier title, the World Triathlon Championship Series. Tell us about your decision to spend a month in Abu Dhabi in the lead up to the season finale.
Yeah, it was. Everyone was saying it was a risky move, just because there was 2 more races on the World Series. But for me personally, the only way I could improve those times, my points, over the World Series, is there's 7 races, 4 races that count plus World Champs. So if I wanted to go to Italy and race, and then to Bermuda and race, which there wasn't a massive gap between those races. 2 continents, a lot of travel, both Olympic distance races. It would have taken a ton out of the body, and the training wouldn't have been as consistent as I wanted it to be. And the only way I could improve my points is winning both races, which is still a big risk to head all that way and to win, because if I didn't win, it would have been a waste of time in a sense. So I made the decision to head out to Abu Dhabi and get used to the heat. It's plus 30 degrees every single day, but the heat here is quite humid through the winter time here, and it's also once the sun's up, it's extremely harsh. So it sucks the life out of you when you're running at 3:00 in the afternoon on the time of race day.
Now, ironically enough, you'll be head to head for the title with Alex Yee, who you mentioned before as the man you would have fought out the gold medal with in Birmingham had this penalty not be imposed. Does that add extra motivation at all, or is it always going to be pretty tight tussle when the two of you go head to head?
Yeah, I think it's going to give me a bit more motivation. He's beaten me a few times this year, and I've beaten him a few times this year. So, it's quite ironic that we're, finishing up at the World Championships, fighting for position 1 and 2. So, it's super exciting. But I'm definitely taking some fire for that, and calling this one a rematch, and proving a lot of people wrong that. There was a lot of I guess chat about he would have got beaten anyway because he would have got outran and all this sort of stuff. So I'm definitely out there showing people that no, I can actually outrun him, and I'm here to race. So it's going to be exciting. Looking forward to it.
Can you clarify for us, Hayden, exactly what you have to do to claim the world title?
Yeah, so worst case scenario, if Alex wins and I come second, I still earn the world title just because I have enough points of a buffer. If he gets first and I get third, he'll win the world title, and vice versa. If we don't get on the podium, it's still a battle between us. But you lose 7.5% of points every time you're behind first place. So the points get less and less, and the percentages get higher and higher. So there will be a point in the race where if, I'm like 8th and Alex is 9th, that means Alex to be world champion. So there's a lot of ways that it could go extremely wrong, and there's other ways that can go extremely right. So it's nice to have a little bit of a buffer, but in a way it doesn't really matter too much. I want to win the race, and if I come second, I'll still be super stoked. But I'm out here to try and win the race and beat Alex on the day. I think it'll be a lot nicer to win the world title plus win the last race of the year. So it's going to be it's going to be a big old tussle for sure.
And look at that tussle. I mean, you're both about the same age, still pretty young as triathletes. Does he feel like someone you're going to be battling for the next few years at the very top level?
Yeah, definitely. We're the same age. We're not even touching our prime of our triathlon years, that's later down around the 30s. So we've still got a few years until we kind of hit our prime. So I think we're going to be battling for a very long time for sure.
You also recently claimed the Super League Triathlon crown in Saudi Arabia, a different series, 5 races, 5 podiums for you, including 3 wins. What led to your success in that series?
Yeah, I think just being just consistent over the 3 disciplines, and Super League racing, it's a lot quicker than any sort of triathlon that we would normally do. It's 3 different rounds and they're only 20 minutes long, so you've got to be super sharp and do the little things right. And it does, doing little things right can speak volumes over such a short race. So I guess I was just doing the small things right, and had enough pace on the days that I was performing, and just had no kind of mechanical bad luck on any of the races, and everything was going really well. So and it was definitely using that frustration from the Com Games to prove to people that I'm here to stay for a while. So I was stoked, and it was nice to get my first Super League World title over 5 races. So it definitely took a lot out of the body, but it was good to finish up and then head to Abu Dhabi and get some good training in.
Just on your training, one thing that's always fascinated me about triathlon, I mean, if you think about a runner, they train to run, a swimmer trains to swim, a cyclist trains to cycle. How do you split your training between the 3 disciplines?
Yeah, it's tough, but if you you got to have a lot of trust in your coach, and I've been with my coach Craig Kirkwood for the last 7 years, so I think a lot of athletes struggle when they switch coaches a lot, because it's a whole different dynamic of training. So being with Craig for 7 years, he knows how my body ticks, and I know how his training kind of goes. So the body just gets used to that rhythm and that routine, and we crank in at least 25 to 30 hours of training a week. We're not shy of getting 30k of swimming in, 100k of running, and around 400k of riding. So depending on what part of the season we're on or what we're looking to improve. So it's a juggling act for sure, but it's interesting to try and see what you can do to improve all 3, but also not kind of lag on another one.
Are any of the 3 your particular favourite?
Yeah, I'd say the run and the bike are pretty close to each other. My favourite's probably running, and then biking comes in very, very close, and then the swimming's kind of that part of the job that you got to do. So yeah.
And, I mean, it's been quite the 18 months for you. How much of a boost to your career and your confidence was the bronze medal that you picked up in Tokyo last year?
Yeah, it was a huge one, like having 2 years off through COVID, being stuck in New Zealand and coming back. And when I was stuck in New Zealand, I used that as an opportunity to hone my craft and, get better at certain areas of my sport that it just wasn't good enough at, and came back to the World Series, and which was showing that I had the potential to be all right, and heading into the Olympics, and I knew that if I the stars aligned and everything ticked over nicely, it would be a good day, and a good day it was. So it's definitely given me a ton of confidence, and it's been kind of just leading on as the season, giving me that confidence to race from the front and not being scared to race the best in the world.
And just to finish, you talked before about not having reached your peak yet, and I know obviously there are many different kinds of multi-sport. What will the evolution of your career be, Hayden? Will you eventually do longer distances, for example?
Yeah, for sure. I intend to try and get to LA games, and then from there I'll definitely be dabbling in the long course stuff. I've always wanted to go to Kona, so definitely try and tick off the Ironman World Champs and the iconic New Zealand Ironman as well. So there's definitely a few races that I want to tick off and enjoy. So definitely looking to go long course.
Actually, I do have one more question. Do you have to be, I don't know, a certain type of person to put yourself through the punishment that you do? Because I've seen you race and I've seen you leave everything out there, and you talk about your training regime and everything that has to go into peaking at the right time and being successful in these pinnacle events. Do you have to be a certain type of person to put yourself through that?
Yeah, I think you do. You gotta kind of embrace the pain and embrace kind of being uncomfortable. It's a very hard thing to learn, but once you learn that kind of that mentality of just the pain's not going to be that long, I think that's when you start seeing those gains for sure. Like I do a lot of training solo, so I think mentally it's probably one of the hardest ways to do it. I don't have a team to push me through certain sessions. It's normally just me, myself, and I, trying to push through certain sessions. So, it definitely takes a lot to get comfortable being uncomfortable. But if you want to be the best, you've got to somehow find that switch and turn it on and get used to it.
Well, you've obviously found a way to do that. What a year it's been, as I say, what an 18 months it's been, and let's hope that it has a really, really impressive climax in Abu Dhabi this coming weekend. Hayden, thank you so much for taking the time, and from everyone back here, we can only wish you all the very best.
Hey, thanks for the call, mate.
Thank you for taking our call, Hayden. It's such a busy time for you. Hayden Wilde there, silver medalist in Birmingham, going for the World Championship title tonight. The World Triathlon Championship Series has its season finale in Abu Dhabi just after midnight. We'll keep you right up to date and be cheering him home. Let's see if Hayden Wilde can finish 2022 on the top of that podium.
¿Buscas trabajo? Únete a un equipo ganador. Swissport está contratando agentes de carga, empleado para recarga de combustible y agentes para manejo de personal de tierra. Swissport ofrece entrenamiento pagado, salario competitivo y mucho más. Están contratando para el Aeropuerto Internacional Dulles. Para más información, envía un texto con la palabra Swissport al 2200 o visita swissport.com/careers. Palabra Swissport al 2200 o visita swissport.com/careers.